Whoops, I lost my hello, folks. Hey.
TruVizion preview.
Yeah. Hey, this is Rick Uzzi here with Pete Olivia. We're here for Tech Tuesday. We'll be back in just a minute. We're going to talk about the latest updates on TruVizion. Hey, thanks for joining us again. It's Tech Tuesday, and today my special guest is Peter Olivia. Pete is VP of Systems Engineering and Software Development, so he and his team keep all of our servers and systems running smoothly and keep software up to date and give you the great diagnostics tools that we have here, including TruVizion. So I think it was about a week ago, maybe Wednesday last week, we did an update.
Wednesday last week, yep.
Yeah, Wednesday last week we did an update. So we wanted to kind of bring for you what changes we made in that, and Pete's going to demonstrate that. You can actually, if you're watching live, you can go ahead and just type in the chat feature in YouTube if you've got any questions as we go through this about the update itself, or if there's something about TruVizion that you've never quite understood or didn't know how to use or something like that. If you've got questions, feel free to chat at that time. We got the guy here that can answer that. Yeah. Most likely, I don't know if there's somebody else out here that could. That maybe
sure, a lot of people, sure.
Yeah. So.
Well, there's just been a lot of new features, so
yeah.
It's a good time to kind of show people what all that stuff is and what does it mean and where is it and how do I use it.
Yeah, we always send an email out with a list of things, but a lot of times when you see that list, you're like, what? How does that work? So, we try to add that to the documentation as we can, or we do afterwards. But always helps, I think, to have a video to demonstrate what we're doing. So.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, I just like, show me what it is. How can I use it? Thanks,
yeah.
Great. Yeah, just because everybody's busy.
Yeah.
So everyone wants to read documentation.
Yeah. So we're going to go through that through the update today. So we'll go ahead and pull up TruVizion here, and we'll take a quick look at these new features. So we're looking right now at a CMTS screen, but I think a lot of this is related to probably modem screens and things, right? So why don't you go ahead and...
Sure. Yeah. A couple things that got added this last couple releases, mostly on the modem screen side. Over the years, we've been asked to add a feature that we call device monitor. Some people have heard them as watch modem or voice sessions, or different vendors have similar ideas about what it is. But in a nutshell, what are we talking about? There might be a customer that has an issue, and we poll every 15 minutes on a regular scheduled basis, but maybe you have somebody that's got an issue that pops in intermittent, and you want to more closely monitor that one device for a period of time. So we added some features into TruVizion that will do that, will enable that additional device polling for whichever device you want. Where do I find it? Real quick for me, overview. You can go up in there. There's a new tab called Monitor, which is the device monitor, and it'll list every session that we have in the database. And this ages out normally like all other data, and over time it'll escape out.
So this is after somebody's already set up a modem to be monitored, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, if you ever want to go see, this is where the sessions will show up, is in here for anybody on there. And like I was showing you earlier, you could have literally 100 sessions in here, but every field in here is searchable, and we can filter on any of these fields. If I put in anything, it'll either be the MAC or the name or the time frame or who created it. You just want to see yours, I can put in mine, but I'm the only one that created them. I put in a Tech Tuesday test in here for us, and I would be able to come in here, and here's a device that I added one earlier. You come in here and you can add notes or a ticket or whatever that makes sense. If it's a running one, you can actually tell it end it now, and it'll complete it right now. But let's click through to this individual customer's device that I had set one up earlier. If you want to add a device monitor to this customer, I would click here and say, go to action and click add to monitor, and it'll pop up a window that says, hey, pick a date and time. So let's just kick one off, in the next minute, to go in there and let it run for, we'll do it today. Let it run for like an hour. Let me just click the up button. If I wanted to put in some text, I could, whatever, query, and then just say submit. And what will happen is it shows the history of all of them that were on here. Here's the ones that completed. This one's now pending. It'll be in the next minute because I did it in the future. I should have done it right now. What I end up happening is you'll get an icon right here when it's running that says,
see that on that,
I should have done it now. And then it would popped up.
We can come back.
Yeah. What do you see from there is, what does this do? So now that I've added a device monitor, you can see it's pending in here. I can
go ahead and refresh the screen and see if it's started.
Well, it's
1 minute. Okay.
If I reload the screen, it'll show up. If you do it in real time, say right now, it hasn't kicked off. It hadn't kicked off yet. But where do I go see this data? Well, if I click into this, the blue sandwich bar that we have right now for the multi-channel, click in here, it'll pull up, and you'll see I actually ran one earlier today. So your standard polling, you can see, is 15 minutes. But then for this hour, I had done every minute polling. Right.
And that's what it does when you do the monitor, right? So
right.
Yeah.
And so every one of the RF measures that we capture here, I can zoom in to that time period, and you'll see it's every minute, right? It's not just the 15-minute polar. And then when it went back to 15, I've got my 15-minute polar, but I did every minute over the time period. Yeah. And this gives you can see everything looked pretty mellow on the 15-minute polar. When you're doing individual minute polling, you can see there's actually an up and down.
You can see a little more.
You can see more detail of what's going on. Same here, right? Because it kind of smooths out. And the 15-minute polar, it's every 15 minutes, you might get a good one or not. Every minute, it's going to show what's going on.
Right, yeah.
So this feature was added on in the last release. And so...
what's interesting about that is a lot of times diagnostic tools, they may not have any historical information on a modem. And when you put a modem on a watch list, what you're saying is, show me some history. And here we already have the history, but like Pete's saying, it's every 15 minutes. So we're actually getting more granular.
Right.
And every minute.
Yep.
So
yeah, this modem is monitored, and it probably should show up now if I refresh. If I was smart, I would have just said start it right now. But see, you get your little red, the monitor's in progress.
Right.
Little watchful eye is, I'm watching this device.
Yeah.
I'm monitoring it.
Yep.
So, and in the overview, if you ever don't know who, where they are, you can see there's a little QWERTY that I put in, right? It's in progress. It's running right now.
So what, I guess this would be if a customer is calling in and maybe complaining about service, and you're looking at the history and you don't really quite see anything, you can then get more granular data?
Typical use case would be subscriber calls up, hey, I've been having this problem. Look in there, don't see anything. I'll tell you what, we're going to put a monitor on this device over the next 24 hours, next 3 days, whatever. And it'll start capturing in detail. And then you can come back later as a CSR, you look back at the ticket later, come back and see, is there a pattern? You run into this with intermittent issues. Right. I just didn't necessarily catch it, but if I'm more aggressively monitoring this one particular device, I'll probably see something that shows up in there.
Yeah.
So that's the main use case for it.
Great feature.
The other thing I can do in here is we kicked it off. I can come in here and say, you know what? We solved your problem, Mr. Subscriber, Mrs. Subscriber. I'm just going to end it now. Are you sure? Yes. And then it puts it in. It just ends it. It's completed and did its thing. So we can handle it that way. You can always see the history. As long as the data is there, the list of all the tasks of device monitor sessions you do are in there. Other things we added along those lines let me click through here. People may or may have not seen is, for some folks in the last couple releases, we added the uncorrectable and correctable code word errors per channel. We put them on the live view a couple releases back, and we talked about moving it to a per channel because it used to be on the modem. We would do globally on the modem. Now we've got per channel, and that so now you can see correctable and uncorrectable over time on each and every channel. This device just happens to only have one, but if there were multiples, you'd see multiple lines. Some other features we added to this screen for some old cell phones that don't have a lot of oomph on them. Repainting all these plots, not a big deal for a desktop or for a newer phone, but some of the older phones, they end up keep refreshing the screen because they only have so much memory or processing power to do it. So as you're scrolling the screen, it refreshes and can be kind of annoying. Yeah. So it might be, I don't care about receive power or SNR. I'm only looking for code word errors. You can hide them. Okay. And then on those smaller devices, it'll only paint the screens that you're looking for, the panels that you're looking for here. So we added the ability to hide them if you wanted to. So when you're scrolling, it hides those screens. It's a feature we added. Another thing for mobile devices, you may not have thought about this intuitively, but there's no drag. Right. You can't drag on a mobile phone. When you do it, you're moving the screen. Yeah. you're like scrolling, right? Scrolling left, scrolling right. So the concept of a drag isn't there. So we tried to think of a way, how could we simulate a drag function? So we did what we called a double tap, where I can click here once, it creates my first starting point, and then I move, I'm not clicking, and then I click. That's kind of the drag still works. I can click and drag, and it works on the PC, but on a mobile phone, now I can do a tap and a tap, a double tap, and it'll zoom for me. So I get the same feature on a mobile.
Yeah, and that's because I guess we moved from a actual app to something that runs in the browser on the phone. So now they just tap with their finger.
Yeah, and I think it may have had a problem. I don't remember how we did that in the old
I don't know
app world.
It might not have even been available.
Even a pinch to zoom just makes the screen bigger or smaller. It doesn't. It's not a drag. So this is a way to simulate a drag. It's a double tap, a tap, and a tap. Let's see, what else do we do? So another interesting feature we added. So the uncorrectables used to be down here in the communication panel. We moved them up in the live, right? So now you have the uncorrectables live per channel. Well, we did part of that to free up some space down here where we see your 24-hour usage. You can now drill in, and I don't know if people noticed, but we did add bandwidth rates, upstream and downstream rates. This is the bandwidth rates. The top two is the transmit and receive rate of the device, but we also now added in usage. So you have upstream and downstream usage, and we're looking at a 24 hours, so everything's in hours, right? So all the graphs at the bottom, the usage graphs, are on the hour. Well, I can also do, 7 days, and now I'm looking at usage over 7 days, but now my metric at the bottom is now days. So I do 30 days. Forgive my mouse is moving slow here. But you can see I've got usage of each day, so you can see a customer's usage and their rate. And if you zoom, if I say, that's interesting here, when I zoom in, it zooms, right, on a custom range, but it also zooms in on the hours.
It looks like you can unselect or select downstream or upstream.
Sure, I can select, unselect.
Yeah, because I did notice that, and these guys, they have a pretty good amount of upstream. Wow. So I did notice that sometimes, I guess, if you have both checked, you might not see one of them because of the, one is a lot higher than the other.
Downstream's usually what people are doing is watching video
so
or downloading it.
So if you want to see one that's not showing up, you can uncheck the other one.
You have that capability, and it goes for 30, 90, 7 days. It used to be just 24 hours. It's something that was asked a while ago, and we finally got around to being able to merge that into our data model. So now you have that feature for did the customer have this problem longer than 24 hours ago? Now you can see up to 90 days back. Another feature that we added was on the voice side. So this customer, this is why I picked this one, let me get this out of the way. You can go to voice now. We've always had the concept of call history, the latest calls from the device itself, good, bad, or indifferent.
So this is, and you might want to explain this, what a MOS score is.
Sure, it's a mean operating score. There's conversation quality and line quality. Line quality is the line there, but call quality, CQ, is there echo or delay? So years ago when people were doing VoIP, I guess it was VoIP related, it was just call quality. They kind of asked people, does it sound good? And they gave it a score from 1 to 5.
Or they drop a little pin. Was it the old Sprint commercial?
I don't know exactly how they did it. I wasn't part of it. So. But anything 3.5 or higher is considered a good quality call. So if you get anything, this is a conversation if they have echo or delay, and this is just basic as transmitting as a line okay. Usually they're kind of synonymous, but if you see a difference, it's usually because the actual experience, the CQ is the actual experience to the user. But anything 3.5 or higher is considered good. Anything below 3.5 is considered not so great. It might be an old tinny or blippy or So these come off the device itself. We read that from the device, but we've always gone out and polled those devices on a periodic basis for give me your calls and let me pull out the bad ones. So we added this link to the MOS report, the EMTA MOS score report that we've always had, but filtered it by MAC. And we put the MAC of the modem. You have the MTA MAC or the kid modem MAC. And if you click through here, it'll go through and say, over time, of all calls and all times we've queried the device, right? Has there been, what are the call qualities? You can see if we do all problem calls, you can see all these MOS scores like 2.5, 1 point. This subscriber's definitely having call problems that you didn't maybe not know about. We looked at the recent ones; they look good, but in the history, look at all the reds and yellows in here, right? It also give you some information like the battery's missing. Like it might be what you guys do. Maybe don't put a battery in because it's a pain to, hey, power cycle the device, but it's got a battery in it and never, pull it from the wall, plug it in, it never goes off. Some people don't put the battery in because of that. But we do capture those issues.
So this is just the bad calls.
Yeah, this is bad because there's so many,
Yeah,
right? I mean, like if I got every call ever, this is bad history.
Sure, yeah.
We've always had this report. We just add a filter for MAC address, and it can either be MTA MAC or modem MAC. And recently we put a link from here back to the device. So if you ran just the report, you can, let me go look at that guy. That was something we added in a couple releases ago.
I remember that.
But we added this filter so that this is issues, MTA issues for this subscriber, right?
And you got show details on the right?
Yeah, it shows some, this has always been in the MOS
that's
report.
what you're just showing, okay.
Yeah, you just expand it out and it shows you, right, various information we've always captured on this report. This isn't anything new. We've always had this. It's just we created a filter so that I don't want to run the whole MOS report for all 150,000 MTAs I have. I just want to know about this guy.
Yeah.
And that's what we did is we added this filter field that filters that. So if we go back, we did the date range, the hiding of the individual panels, this voicing. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we added in there? I believe that's all the new features that have been added in recently.
Yeah, it was just in the last update. So.
Yeah, well, we've had a couple that came in rapid that added a whole bunch of feeters.
Yeah,
but
that's cool.
So if there's any questions or anything in the chat, they may have been jumping through.
I don't see any.
I'm gonna get a complex if someone doesn't ask me a question one of these.
So there will be a quiz. We're gonna do a quiz.
We're gonna do random calls, randomly call affiliates and see if you know where to click for
these. Yeah. But actually, again, if you're watching this recorded and you're like, man, I didn't get a chance to ask Pete that question, you can always drop a question on the YouTube chat and we will get to it, and I'll get to Pete and we'll get that question answered.
I'm gonna start making up random questions.
Well, I thought about having somebody do that, but then I was afraid what they might ask us. Might be relevant. So anyway, thanks, Pete. That was great. And we'll be posting this also. We've got a, in case you didn't realize, on our TruVision site, which is TruVision.com, we have a What's New area there. And we don't have this information up yet, but we'll be adding this to the What's New information. And then this video will also be posted up there as well. So we'll take this as, again, put that on the website so you can find that. Next week, last week Brady Volpe was with me, and we were talking about intermittent modems in Pre-equalization Analyzer, which is our DOCSIS P&M tool, and how that will show you which homes actually are almost certainly having noise leak in from something in the home or near the home. There's some kind of a loose connector or damaged cable or something. So what I'm going to be doing next week is we're going to talk about, now that you've identified a home that you can look on in Pre-equalization Analyzer, you could say, well, this home definitely is leaking in noise. Well, then how do you find it? And once you've found something and corrected it, how do you know you've actually fixed everything? We're going to talk about next week about pressure testing and how that can help you. Once you found that home, you can go out there, connect up some equipment. It's not that expensive. And that will show you, that leakage detection system will show you where the leak is, and then you can check afterward to make sure that you fixed everything. So we'll be doing that next week at 3 o'clock. Here on Tech Tuesday. So, and Carlos Bustamante will be joining me for that. So I hope you can join us. A lot of you are probably TruVision users, but you also may be Pre-equalization Analyzers users, so you can check that out. Or even if you're just a TruVision user, that would be helpful for you as well to see how that leakage detection equipment works. So, thanks, Pete.
No problem.
And we will be back, or I will be back next Tuesday for
Merry
Tech
Christmas,
Tuesday.
Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Bye-bye.